morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we're going to be taking a look at the deck that just won the Seniors Pokemon Trading Card Game World Championships. People ask me a lot on this channel why I don't cover juniors and seniors more. A lot of the time, it is lack of opportunity. But given that we do now have a Seniors World Championship winning deck, I think it's fair to say that this is one that we absolutely should be looking at. It was Kaya Lichleitner, apologies for the pronunciation, and she was playing Reshiram and Charizard. There was a lot of Reshiram and Charizard around this weekend. There were a lot of players playing Reshiram and Charizard. This is the only one that actually went and won though. Didn't make the final in Masters, lost the final in Juniors, but over in Seniors, Reshiram and Charizard FTW. And unsurprisingly, it all revolves around Reshiram and Charizard, a very, very powerful Tag Team GX Pokemon. Now, the main attack here is for 4 energy, and it does 230 damage, and you can't use this attack next turn. Cool. There is also a GX attack that does 200 for 3 energy, nice as a lower energy alternative, or for 6 energy it does 300 and goes through any effects on the defending Pokemon. And we saw enough Latios over the weekend to know that that could sometimes be relevant. And there was also Outrage. 2 energy, 30 damage, plus 10 for each damage counter on it. If your opponent doesn't one-hit KO you, that could be an awful lot of fun. Now, it really was built around Reshiram and Charizard, but there were a couple of other attackers that were played in the deck to help out. We saw Heatrun GX, and Heatrun GX really was a mainstay in a lot of decks this weekend. It was on a lot of Reshiram and Charizard decks. It also found its way into a lot of Blacephalon decks. Shintaro Ito played it in his finalist deck, for instance. And basically, you put it on the bench, and then when you would move it into the active, you may move as many fire energy from all of your Pokemon to this. And then you can either do 130 for free energy, which is great for taking out non-GX attackers from other decks. Something like a Zapdos, for instance, goes down to this very easily. Or for 1 fire energy minimum, you did 50 damage for each fire energy attached to this Pokemon. So more than once this weekend, we saw a player just piling energy onto their Heatran to take a surprise KO on a Tag Team GX for free prizes. Yeah, you'd need 5 or 6 energy to do so, but often worth it. Now, you need a non-GX attacker a lot of the time to try and put the prize race in your favour, and that is where the Turtonator from Dragon Majesty came in. Now, you need to put free energy onto Turtonator, which is awkward, but then you get to discard any amount of fire energy from all of your Pokemon, dealing 50 for each you discarded in this way. So this could take out something like a Mewtwo and Mew Tag Team GX. The problem was that you would need to get 6 energy on the field, 3 of which have to be on Turtonator, and then discard them all. Not the most efficient attacker in your deck, because you lose all the energy when you attack, but you know what? It's a non-GX, so, you know, kinda had to be done. And there was another non-GX here that I liked very, very much indeed, Victini Prism Star. Now, I've been a huge proponent of Victini Prism Star since it was revealed. I think it should be in every fire deck. It generally hasn't been before Worlds. When Worlds came along, it really was. This also made its way into a huge amount of fire decks. Now, there's only 1 attack, but for 2 fire energy, you do 20 damage for each fire energy in your discard pile, and then you shuffle them all back into your deck. So if you've had to discard some in the early game, or you've had a Reshiram and Charizard KO'd, or you've got off an attack or 2 with Turtonator, this could really, really do a lot of damage. Now, in this deck, 18 energy. 2 of them need to be on Victini, but that means in theory you could be doing 320 damage. That's a lot. If you're against an opposing Reshiram and Charizard, if you can get 14 energy in the discard, you can get a one-hit KO. No, it's not the easiest thing to do, but it's possible. And you only need to do this once pretty much to turn the game in your favour. I like Victini. Now, there were a couple of other Pokemon that weren't there for attacking, but very, very much helped out. Jirachi. There were a couple of different ways to play Reshiram and Charizard. Some players went for Green's Exploration and decried abilities altogether. Kaya, on the other hand, went for abilities. We've already seen Heatrun, and we've got Jirachi. Jirachi, when it's in the active, you get to look at the top 5 cards of your deck once per turn. Find a trainer card, put it in your hand, Jirachi goes to sleep. Which isn't a huge issue because, spoiler alert, you're playing Escape Board in this deck, which firstly gives Jirachi free retreat and secondly allows Jirachi to retreat even if asleep. And we also saw a 2-2 line of the Ninetales from Team Up. Ninetales is huge. We lost all of our good gusting options like Guzma to the rotation. Most other decks had Custom Catcher. This had Ninetales. Discard 2 fire energy from your hand, drag a Pokemon off the bench into the active. Firstly, it's easier to get 2 fire energy in your hand than it is to get 2 Custom Catcher in your hand. And secondly, don't sleep on the combo here with Victini. Yeah, Victini wants the energy in the discard. Oh, look. Look how that worked out, ladies and gentlemen. Look how that worked out. And as if Jirachi wasn't good enough for consistency, we've also got 3 copies of Dedenne GX. When you play it onto your bench, you may discard your hand and draw 6 cards. We're really going quite ability heavy in this particular list. It's got everything you need. Big attackers, single prize attackers, and a lot of support Pokemon to help you out. In terms of energy, 18 fire energy, the same amount that Tord Reklev played incidentally. And you know what? You need it. You need the energy to attach with Welder. We'll get to that in just a second. You need the energy to make best use of Ninetales. You need the energy to make best use of Victini and Turtonator. You're playing a very energy-hungry deck. So why not take advantage of it? Now, in terms of trainers, we really should start off with Welder. Welder lets you attach 2 fire energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon and draw 3 cards. It was without doubt the most impactful card this weekend. It was absolutely huge. Not every deck played it, but it was absolutely huge nonetheless. It is really what gets this deck going. It is the only supporter card in this deck. There's no other supporter cards. Now, there are 4 copies of Acrobike. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put one in your hand, discard the other, so that's pretty good for draw. And there is a copy of Palpad to get your Welder back. And we've got 4 copies of Cherish Ball, which search out any GX, including Dedenne. And like I've said, we got 3 Dedenne for Jirachi. This is not a supporter-led deck. This is a Pokemon-led deck. The majority of your drawing here is going to be with Dedenne, Jirachi, and Welder, but you're probably going to be using Jirachi to get to the Welder. At least sometimes. There is also a copy of Heat Factory Prism Star here. It is a stadium that lets you discard a fire energy from your hand and draw 3 cards. Another reason why we play so many energy. And another way to power up Victini by getting energy into the discard pile. Now, we are going with a very fiery deck here, and as well as Wilder, we've also got Giant Half. Giant Half lets you discard a card from your hand and then search your deck for 2 fire energy. Yeah, this is pretty good at just getting your energy out and rolling. We've also got a copy of Fiery Flint, which lets you discard 2 cards from your hand and then search your deck for 4 fire energy and put them in your hand. Great, because it will fuel both a Welder and a Ninetales at the same time. That's pretty gosh darn cool. Now, elsewhere in the deck, we see that we've got 3 copies of Pokemon Communication. Yes, we've got Cherish Ball, but Pokemon Communication is also very good. Swap a Pokemon in your hand for 1 in your deck. Make sure you get the right one out. Plus, we play a bunch of non-GXs here, and there are no cards that actually search out non-GX Pokemon other than Pokemon Communication. And then finally, free copies of Switch, because we've got Jirachi. We need to get Jirachi into and out of the active so that we can actually go about finding those item cards, those supporter cards, those trainer cards generally. Switch helps. Switch makes Jirachi quite a lot better. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Kaya has been one of the best players in the world for a long time in juniors and now in seniors. She has got a couple of years left in the seniors division according to the casters at Worlds. So I think fair to say we're going to be seeing her on the big stage again before too long. And then she'll age up into Masters and we can all be scared of her because she's that gosh darn good. Congratulations to her for crushing the World Championships and continuing the great run she's been on, and for being that player that proves that Reshiram and Charizard was in fact a great pick for Worlds. I know a lot of other people did well with the deck, but she was the one that really brought the championship home. And I'd at this point like to know what you think about Reshiram and Charizard, about Kaya, about her deck. Go nuts in the comment section. Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays, where we talk about a whole bunch of games that don't even have any Pokemon in. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross and you've been watching PTCG Radio.